They told me for years there was no money in podcasting. Well, they were all wrong.
But all those degrees, man, MIT, Massachusetts, Boston's the third most expensive city in the country. How much debt did that put you in? And are you still is it all paid off by now? Did it all pay off?
It's all paid off. I was very fortunate that my parents were helping me to do it. And then, of course, when you come out with a pure science degree, it's a lucrative field. So you start earning pretty well even out of school, and that's just grown since there.
Yeah, like I have a bachelor's in journalism. Technically what I do now is journalism. I guess podcasting is a form of journalism, form of storytelling. But, I work my job thinking I didn't really learn any of this in college. Like, I love that I went to college. I do not regret going to college. But there's some things in this world that I truly believe you do not need to go to college for. Journalism's borderline for me, depending where you're going, what you learn. But everything you went for, yeah, you need college for each and every single one of those things. Now, what's your take on the college degree and the current state of the country being everyone needs to go to college?
Absolutely not. I think we overemphasize college.
Agreed.
In too many cases. Now, that said, I'd like to see more people go to college, right? So that sounds conflicting. What do I mean by this? There are some things that you get in a college education, which honestly, it should be at the high school level, but we've watered that down so much. Mm-hmm. There are basic skills we need. If you can't do math, if you don't understand concepts like compound interest, well, then how can you possibly be an informed voter? How can you understand, as we talk about economic policy and tax policy, is this going to pay off in the long run, or is this adding to debt without the benefits? If you can't do that math, it's hard to be an active participant in our society.
Yeah.
Understanding history, understanding the patterns of history and what we're going through and what we can learn to not repeat mistakes. Those are things you get at the college level. I'd like to see more of that happen. But where I think we go wrong, we'd say to too many people, you need to go to college. This is how you get into middle class. This is how you stay there. And we get there's a classic, the philosophy degree, where you wind up working at McDonald's because who hires philosophy majors? We have creative writing. We see a lot of that. And it's a wonderful skill, just like philosophy, but there's just not a lot of demand for it. Or the other thing I see happening, people who got a 4-year college degree, they went to a very expensive college, and then they wound up managing a local retail store. And having an English lit degree does not help you manage a local retail store. Instead, I would like to see more of what we refer to as vocational training, which we normally think of as, oh, that's carpentry or plumbing or air conditioning repair. But I'd like to see vocational degrees for running a retail store. We're going to teach you a little human resources, a little marketing, a little bit of inventory management, a little bit of accounting. These are the practical skills to do that job. Forget the Shakespeare, forget the foreign language. Let's just focus you on this. And I think that can be more cost effective.
Yeah.
I'll note, by the way, you said computer science. Most software engineers, I don't think you need to go to college if you want to get a software engineering job. You can do so with vocational training. What we have today out there is usually garbage, but as those improve, you can skip college and learn to be a programmer and get a job.
Like the best teacher you can have is life experience. Luckily, my second job, a job I currently have outside of APS, I do live streaming. I do live streaming on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and sometimes LinkedIn. But, there was a learning curve. I never went into a professional broadcast studio to work in. Never learned that. Now, they hired me, rolled the dice on me, and trained me. Turns out I'm really good at it. It's really fun. But, I didn't go to college for that. But a college degree was a requirement for that. Now, I'm sitting here at my job, again, love it, it's a great job, saying, they could have hired me out of high school super cheap and just trained me on how to use this stuff and work your way up the ladder. Now, everything you just said is very relevant in terms of problems with education and the schooling system, but I'm going to turn that back on the businesses as well, because you are requiring a job that for a bachelor's in whatever. There's a bachelor's degree in whatever. So, like, I would advise businesses, like, listen, don't make that a requirement. You know, for like APS, if you know how to edit video and I can pay you, you're hired. I don't care if you went to college. What kind of content can you make? You know, if you can sell stuff, you can sell my product. I don't care if you went to college. How much money can you make? Now, if you're going to be a doctor, yeah, I need to see a degree and some studies. But like, turn that on the business, because it's a problem with the businesses and the institutions as well, where they're requiring people to go to college as much as the college is making people required to go there.
This is economics 101, supply and demand.
Yeah.
When we had a hirer's market, they could be picky. They could say, you know, we have so many applicants. Let's just set that bar. You have to have a college degree, and that's just going to weed out. And it's not that people who don't have a degree can't do it. In some cases, you're more likely to find someone capable with the degree. But to your point, I agree. A lot of jobs, you don't actually need that college degree. Thankfully, with what we're going through now, where it's a labor-friendly market, right, where there's a lot more demand for labor than availability, I think we're going to see businesses, they're looking, how can we get more flexible, and dropping that college degree requirement is going to be a lot more common going forward.
Yeah. I mean, education's very, very important. Don't get me wrong. Like, if you want to go to college, go to college. Just please don't make it a dance major, because you're wasting, because a dance major a degree costs the exact same as a medical degree, undergrad at least. And that in and of itself is an issue. And there's a lot of colleges that, you know, I could have done my journalism program in 2 years. A lot of people could have done their journalism program in 2 years, but I had to do 4 because the school required prerequisite classes. I had to take math. I had to take, you know, a lit class. I had to take a language class. Now, if you just took those out and I just went for my major, I could have college done in 2 years, save myself the debt, and still have all the fun.
Yeah, we'll see if we start to get to variable pricing for majors. I know that's been tried at a few schools. Then you get some interesting questions such as, well, we can charge more for the engineering classes because they can afford to take on more debt. Mm-hmm. And therefore, it's fine. They can go into debt, they'll pay it off. Unlike, for example, someone who's a dance major. On the other hand, we in society definitely need more engineers. We don't necessarily need more dance majors. And by the way, I was a competitive ballroom dancer for years. I am a huge dance fan. I support the arts.
Of course.
But should we want to encourage people towards engineering and away from dance, well, then arguably we should do the opposite. We should make it cheaper to get the engineering degree and more expensive to get that dance degree.
Ooh.
So you could argue either way.
It's an Uno reverse card right there. I didn't see that one coming. Because to me, it makes sense. You know, if you're going to be a degree that's going to pay off, you know, like a brain surgeon, something that's very hard to get, you know, if it's going to pay off, yeah, it should cost more. Like, oh, dance, well, let's pick on dance a little bit more, or music, right? Like, if you have a school with a very, very good dance program, you know, you go to college to make contacts and network, to make connections, because they're going to get you to jobs that pay well. You know, that's true. That's true. I've heard that from a lot of dance majors. I'm here to network, really, for 4 years. That's what the debt gets me. It's like, yes, yeah, you know what? That's a very fair point. But you have to be the best of the best. And, you know, it's the same thing with acting, same thing with film. You know, only the best of the best make it. A lot of people don't make it. And you're burying yourself in a hole.
This is what I talk about a lot in chapter 1 of the Career Toolkit on the career planning chapter. We have to recognize that there's different types of careers that have different paths and different outcomes. Mm-hmm. So let's consider a few different ones. If you get a marketing degree and you have a career in marketing, so you start out, you're right out of school, you get a little bit of money. And as you advance, you make more money. You become more senior, you make more money. That's a pretty linear path. Now let's look at a doctor. If you're a doctor, you're going way into debt. You have college debt, then you have medical school debt. Mm-hmm. As a resident, you're not making money. And so you've got residency, you mm-hmm. might then specialize. And so if, let's say you're a brain surgeon, you're going into significant debt, you're making no money until probably about age 35.
Yeah, that's true.
But then what happens at age 35? All of a sudden, you start out probably making about $600,000-$700,000, and it goes up from there. So in that case, you have delayed compensation. And so there's very high compensation on the back end to make up for you've got very little on the front end. The other path would be dancers and actors, where you say, you look at the payout distribution, and it's a power law. There's a handful of people who make a lot of money, right? Go to Hollywood. There's a handful of actors who are doing great, wonderful careers. And then you go down to a few people who are getting by, and then a lot of people who get nowhere. And so if you go into one of those fields, you have to recognize there's a distribution of outcomes, and the just raw probability says you're going to be on the tail end of that unless you get lucky and or have talent. And so we have to recognize within our own career, what is the distribution we're looking at? What's that payout? And are we comfortable doing that?
No, that's very well said. That's very well said. It really is a pick your path. But you know what, Mark? This is America, all right? This is the most innovative country in the world. It'll all work itself out as long as the government doesn't get too much in the way. Or as long as, the big institutions we have don't get too far in the way. Because people love to get in each other's way in this country. But it's America. It'll pull through. Innovation lives and breathes here. And like you said, with the workers' revolution that's happening in America right now, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. Like all these strikes going around the country right now, it's a good thing. Workers have power again. And that gives me hope.
Yeah, I'm also long-term bullish on America, our innovation, and the labor market, even if any given period we might have some volatility and setbacks.